Welcome back. This is episode 280. As we get close to turning the calendar to 2026, there are some changes coming to 401k, 403b, and 457 retirement plans next year that you may not be aware of. These changes may impact your ability to make what is known as catch-up contributions if you are over the age of 50. So in this episode, I'm going to be going over what those changes are, how they may impact you, and what proactive steps you can take to make sure you're prepared when the calendar turns to 2026. If you're new to my show, you're new to my channel, my goal is to help teach you how to save for retirement, how to plan for retirement, how to pay less taxes in retirement, and how to invest for retirement. If you want to learn more about how to do that, then consider signing up for my on-demand retirement planning course called Retirement Readiness On Demand. And in this course, I walk you through many of the steps involved in planning the ideal retirement. And to learn more, head over to retirewithryan.com and click on courses, then click on demand. So as I mentioned, in 2026, there are some changes coming to retirement plans that you may not be aware of. So first of all, what are these changes? So as part of the Secure Act 2.0, changes will begin next year for people making catch-up contributions to 401k, 403b, and 457 plans. If you're not familiar, a catch-up contribution is an additional contribution that people 50 and older can make to their 401k account, 403b account, or 457 plan account. For the purpose of this video and this podcast, I'm just going to refer to all of these as 401ks. Currently, the catch-up contribution for 2025 is $7,500. This can be made on top of or in addition to the 401k limit for 2025, which is $23,500. So the total contribution for 2025 between the two is $31,000. If you're making both of these contributions, it's sometimes referred to as you're maxing out your 401k contribution because you're making the maximum contribution. We don't yet know what the 401k contribution limit and the catch-up contribution limit will be for 2026, as the IRS has yet to announce these numbers, partially due to the government shutdown, but people are anticipating that these numbers will be $24,000 for a 401k contribution limit and $8,000 for the over 50 catch-up contribution. To further confuse you, additionally, there is another catch-up contribution that applies if you are between the age of 60 and 63, but only for those years that you're between 60 and 63. And this catch-up contribution for 2025 is $11,250. This is known as the super catch-up contribution. Starting in 2026, people who have earned over $145,000 in 2025 will not be able to make catch-up contributions or super catch-up contributions as a pre-tax contribution, meaning before tax. Instead, they will be required to make these contributions as post-tax contributions to a Roth 401k, Roth 403b account, or Roth 457 plan account, depending on the type of retirement plan that your company offers. Now, this was actually supposed to happen in 2024, but was delayed until 2026 to give retirement plan providers, companies more time to add a Roth 401k account to the retirement plan and to amend their retirement plan to allow this. Those who earn less than $145,000 in 2025 won't be impacted at all and can still make those catch-up contributions as a pre-tax contribution if they choose. Now, currently, anyone can make catch-up contributions to a Roth 401k if your retirement plan allows this. So how might this impact you? Well, as I said before, if you're earning under $145,000 in 2025, there will be no impact to you in 2026. But if you earned over $145,000 in 2025, then your retirement plan would need to offer a Roth 401k option in the plan in 2026 to allow you to continue making these catch-up contributions. If they don't, then you'll be limited to whatever the 401k contribution limit is for 2026, as I'm estimating somewhere around $24,000. So what should you do if you're impacted by this? Well, first, you want to find out if your retirement plan offers a Roth 401k option already. Maybe they already do. And if they don't, let's say, can you possibly get your employer to make a change to the retirement plan so they can offer this? You would then need to open a Roth 401k account with the retirement plan if they're going to allow this. And this could possibly be done online. Maybe there's a form you have to fill out. You just need to check with your HR department or your 401k provider to see what the steps are involved in you opening this Roth account. Then you need to make sure that your catch-up contributions were going to be going into that Roth 401k account if you're going to be earning, or you earned over $145,000 in 2025. Lastly, you probably should get an idea of how this may impact your paycheck, because if you can no longer make pre-tax catch-up contributions, and instead you're going to have to make it as an after-tax contribution, how much more federal and or state income tax will you have to pay to make these same catch-up contributions? To get a handle on this, your payroll provider may offer a payroll tool where you can input your salary, your federal and or state tax withholding, any other pre-tax deductions that you might be making, to get an idea of what it might be. Now, if previously you were making all of your 401k contributions pre-tax, and now you're not going to be able to make the catch-up contribution pre-tax because you earned over $145,000 this year, then you would need to run a payroll scenario where instead this catch-up contribution, whether it's the $8,000 traditional catch-up or the super catch-up of $11,250, is made as an after-tax contribution, meaning you're going to have to first pay tax on this money and then make the contribution to see what is your net paycheck going to be. There's going to be a reduction. The question is how much. So there's a lot of payroll calculators online. I found one on the internet with ADP that's free. You don't need to sign up. You just put in your information. And I ran a few scenarios to see what the impact would be, and I want to share those with you. Now, you have to assume different things in this example, so I assumed the following. I assumed married filing jointly, that the individual was being paid semi-monthly, so 24 paychecks a year. They were a Connecticut resident because Connecticut has income tax, and their only pre-tax contribution was a 401k contribution that we're going to use as the example. If you have medical benefits that you're contributing to, that's a pre-tax deduction. If you contribute to an HSA account, that's a pre-tax deduction. If there's other after-tax things you pay for, like life insurance or other fringe benefits, you'd have to reduce that. But for my example, I just want to make this simple. The only pre-tax deduction they have is the 401k contribution. So the first example I have is assuming someone has a $170,000 salary in 2026, so they are over the $145,000, so they would be impacted. And they're a married filing jointly filer, and only one spouse earns the $170,000. So I just made this as simple as possible. So in the first example, let's just assume that this was not changing, and $32,000 next year was going to be the limit that you could put into your 401k on a pre-tax basis, right? Assuming this was not changing next year. We know it is, but assuming it wasn't. What would your net paycheck be? Well, in this example, you'd be earning about $7,083 a paycheck. Your federal taxes would be $566 a pay period, Social Security tax $439, Medicare tax $102, Connecticut state income tax $310, and then Connecticut has a family leave program you have to pay into of $35. And then your 401k benefit, $32,000 divided by 12 is $1,333 per pay period. So that would leave you net take-home pay of $4,296. If then, assuming you earn over the $145,000, you can no longer make $8,000 of that contribution as pre-tax, so $8,000 has to go post-tax in a Roth account. What would the difference be? Well, you still have the same salary of $7,083 per pay period. Your federal tax would go up to $639, Social Security and Medicare stays the same, but your state income tax would also go up to $332, and that would leave you net take-home pay of $4,200. So you're paying $95 more per pay period to save the same amount of money. Now, $8,000 is going to a Roth account, so that will come out tax-free, but you're saving the same amount of money. So it's costing you an additional $2,287 per year to save the exact same amount of money. So that's the difference in this example. You're going to be able to still save $32,000, but it's going to cost you an additional, rounding up, $2,300 for the year. So not a major impact. It's probably not going to change your life dramatically, but it still is a difference. So let's just say you earn even more. Same assumptions. Married filing jointly filer, no other income. We're just going to assume a 401k contribution. Let's assume they earn $300,000 in 2026. Their paycheck on a gross basis will be $12,500. We then take out federal tax of $2,420, Social Security of $775, Medicare of $181.25. And I should note that 401k contributions do not impact your Social Security or Medicare. That is not impacted. What's being impacted here is your state and local tax, or federal and state or local tax. That's being reduced on any pre-tax contributions that you make. Their Connecticut state income tax is $708.44. Family leave goes up, the cost of $62.50. And then they're putting, again, we're assuming no change in 2026. They still could put the $32,000 pre-tax, that $1,333 contribution, all pre-tax. Take-home pay, gross net pay is $7,018 per pay period. If instead they put only $24,000 pre-tax and the other $8,000 post-tax, again, is the change that's going to happen in 2026, then their Connecticut tax or their federal tax goes up to $2,537, and their state income tax goes up to $738. So that's a $147 change per pay period. So their net take-home pay per year is going to be $3,528 less. Again, saving the same $32,000, but their take-home pay is going to be less because, again, that $8,000 is going after tax. It's not a pre-tax contribution. So I realize no one likes to pay more in taxes, myself included. And if your income is higher than my examples mentioned, then you will pay even more tax as a result of this change. So for everyone making catch-up contributions with income over $145,000 in 2025, this is not a positive impact from a tax perspective. However, the bright side is that this is essentially forcing people to make Roth 401k contributions who otherwise may not have. Now, I'm more of a fan of taking pre-tax 401k contributions for higher earners, especially if you're getting close to retirement. And I would say a higher earner is anyone in a 22% tax bracket or higher. The reason being that most retirees are in a lower tax bracket when they are retired, factoring in their retirement income and withdrawals from their retirement portfolios. So it benefits them to defer federal and state taxes now at a higher rate to pay at a lower tax rate when they are retired. So unfortunately, this will no longer be the case for catch-up contributions. But let's just say, if you're impacted by this, but let's just say that you don't have much in a Roth 401k or Roth IRA, this could be a way to get started getting money into that type of account. And let's just say you contributed the $8,000 catch-up per year and you did that for 10 years. That money was invested and can grow at a 6% rate of return. In 10 years, you'd have $105,000 in a Roth 401k. If that grew at a higher rate of return, let's say it grew at 8%, you'd have $115,000 in 10 years. And then you could withdraw this money tax-free, or it could be left as a legacy to your heirs. Let's say the money sat in there and it grew for another 20 years. That money, if it grew at an 8% rate of return, could double a couple times. So that could be $400,000 you could be leaving to your family 100% tax-free. So if you're impacted by this, make sure that you first find out from your HR department what your next steps are to contribute the catch-up contributions to your Roth 401k. If they won't be offering a Roth 401k for 2026, then your next best option is to set up a Roth IRA. if you qualify. If your income is too high, because there are adjusted gross income limits, then you could consider a backdoor Roth IRA. If you don't want to go through that, or you don't qualify for that, you could also consider just setting up a taxable investment account using low turnover exchange traded funds, which will minimize the capital gains tax you'd pay on those. So there's a lot of options for you. But for more, if you want to learn more about using a backdoor Roth IRA or Roth IRA contributions in general, check out some of my other videos or some of my other episodes. So I hope this was helpful, giving you an update on this change that's coming in 2026. And as always, if you have a listener question you want to have considered for a future episode, head over to retirewithryan.com and click on Ask a Question to leave your question. Have a great week, and I look forward to talking with you next Tuesday. Take care.